Welcome to Kathryn Raaker's World. Innovation, culture, adventure, fashion and health, artists, destinations, traditions. This is Kathryn Raaker's World.
Hi, this is Kathryn Raaker of Kathryn Raaker's World. Our guest today is Tami Hoffman. She started and founded the Hoffman Family Foundation, and she's going to tell us all about her love of what she's doing with her school, what she's built, why she built it, and she's probably one of the most Christian women I know on this earth. So I want to welcome you to our show. Would you tell us how you started your career and when you decided to do this wonderful foundation, Tami?
I would be honored and love to, and it's a privilege to be able to be here today and tell this story. You're right, I am a Christ follower and have been all of my life, but things really got ramped up when I turned 50 and my last child had left my home. And I was kind of like, okay, now what, God? And just be careful when you say that, because he will come in. If you say that, he's going to go, okay, that's all I needed to hear, but get ready. I'm going to do something really special. And there may be a little bit of pain that goes with that, but it's part of the process. And so I had just turned 52, and I was, like I said, just looking for something. My passion had always been, to be a good mom, to be a good wife. And when that walked out the door, it was kind of like, okay, I know I still have so much left to do in this life, but I really didn't know what my next passion and purpose would be. And so out of nowhere, I was probably at the prime of my life, the healthiest I had ever been. I had actually hired a trainer and said, okay, I'm going to get in the gym now. I've never been in the gym ever. And so I'm lifting weights and all that kind of stuff. And just out of nowhere, I had went to get my mammogram and I got diagnosed with breast cancer. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I don't feel sick. I'm not sick. But at that time, the Lord really spoke to me and said, I'm planning a surprise party on your behalf. How are you going to come to your party? Are you going to come with fear, with dread, with disappointment, with anger? Or are you going to come with peace, joy, healing? There's some things I just need to heal in your life. But it's up to you how you want to come to your party. And at that point in my life, I was like, okay, Lord, I knew I had come to a place of giving him complete control of my life at that point. And it's interesting how those things will just stop you in the middle of your track. And really, all of those things you had spoken about your life, now it's like it's where the rubber meets the road. And it's going to be, a lot of things are going to be exposed about who, just things that you carry, just even being through a marriage and the things that you carry. And sometimes you just submerge them. And it just sometimes builds up bitterness and things that you don't even know are there. But God said, I'm going to use this journey to get you prepared for where I'm taking you. And at that point, when I was diagnosed, it was really crazy because I went through, I had a lumpectomy and I had the surgery, and they said, the clear margins, which you want to hear. And I thought, great, I'm going to get back on my rat wheel, called it the rat wheel, and go chase, my life. And that's when I found out through a good friend of mine who became my doctor, Dr. Shuey, who is in practice, and he's a radiologist. And he said, I need to let you know that you're going to have to go through chemotherapy. And I'm like, what in the world are you talking about? They've got clear margins. And he said, well, you are just one of the few that happen to have a HER2 positive tumor. And they're one of the most aggressive ones that's out there. But we do have something that can, save you and get you to the shoreline. And at that moment, I was like, God, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, I felt like I'm like, oh, and I'm surrendered, but you're just going to take me deeper. And that's what he did. He took me to a very deep, intimate place with him, and never had been sick ever really in my life. Never. I just had 3 natural childbirths, and that was it, and healthy most all of my life. And so when I started going through the cancer treatment, that's when I knew God is getting ready to do something miraculous. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm going to survive this, but I came to a place of realizing that if I live, I gain, and if I die, I gain. And it's that place of sweet surrender. And, Jesus had saved me, but now he was going to become my Lord, the Lord of my life. And I thought, if I live, that's going to be great too, because I want to make sure and really live my life for him. And if I die, then that's great too, because I'm going to leave this crazy world. I know where I'm going. So I really, that peace just came over me, and went to my family and told them what was going on. And, they were shook up about it. And I'm like, I'm good. I'm really good. And it just gave me a time really just to come to my family, my husband, and just say, if there's any offense that I've done against you, please forgive me. And it was just a beautiful walk and a journey that I got to go through. And when I started my chemotherapy, it was rough. It kills every cell in your body. And I had 6 rounds of chemotherapy, and each one got a little stronger and a little stronger. And at first, my mindset, I was like, okay, I'm going to war. I'm going to war, and I'm gonna, war my life here. And but then kind of through about that 3rd one, I was kind of like, I'm going to change my perspective. And I had sponsored 4 children in Africa in 2007. And I'd always thought, I'd love to go and visit them someday and just see how they're doing. I'd sponsored them. And so then I kind of thought, well, I'm going to have a vision here and go, I'm going to Africa. I'm going to just envision that I'm on a safari, and the Lord's going to give me everything I need to go on this safari. And so little things started getting dropped in my spirit during that time. And so after I got through my chemotherapy, which took about 1.5 years, because I had to be on even a longer protocol because of the type of tumor I had. So I really felt like I was off of the off of the game of life for about 1.5 years. I could still function and go to work and stuff, but I knew my body was being restored. And so after I got done with that, I just thought, there were some things on my bucket list that I wanted to be able to go do. And one of them was, I want to go to Africa and see my kids and just check it off the bucket list. And little did I know, God was going to surprise me. He loves to throw me these surprise parties, because I'm a party surpriser. I love to do that. And when he gave me this surprise, I'm like, Lord, I love to throw the parties. I don't want to be the surprisee. I want to be the surpriser. And so I asked my husband, I said, would you be willing to go to Africa with me for about 3 weeks? And I'd love to go see the kids that we've sponsored. And he said, yeah, I'll do that. So we did. And I want to see the animals. So I'm thinking this whole trip is just going to be about, just going in and seeing these children and just loving life, every piece of it. So we ended up going to Africa, and I had 2 kids in Malawi and 2 kids in Mozambique. And so we go to visit the children in Malawi first. And it was just beautiful. The country was beautiful. My husband had a little hard time traveling, though, because it's on rough roads getting back into the villages with the kids, and you may get to the guest house and there's no shower. And so he would have a little bit of a trouble with that, after a long day. But when I saw when he got into the village with these children, I just saw this love come over him. He's always loved kids, and it just really almost made me fall in love with him more again, to see that, because the world beats you up out here. He's been in business all of his life, and it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. But I was just so blessed that he said yes, that he would go and do this with me. So by the time we got done traveling all of these dirt roads, it was about 3 weeks later. We're leaving Johannesburg that night. And, he was kind of getting to the point where I knew he was just ready to get back home and get plugged into his life. But I knew God had done something in my heart. And so I asked him, I said, babe, I know I'm leaving my heart here in Africa. Are you going to be okay with that? And he was like, oh, sure. I'm good with that. I know he was thinking, I'll get you busy doing other things so you won't bug me, And so he said, oh, yeah, I'm good with that. So I said, so, well, what do you think your piece is going to be here? And he said, oh, I know what my piece is going to be. And I was like, oh, I couldn't even imagine what he was going to say, because he was just ready to get home. And he goes, oh, I'm a provider. And I looked him in the eyes and I said, good. I said, because I know I'm going to need every penny. So anyway, he didn't really know what he was saying, nor did I really understand what was happening at that time. So I said, I'm coming back. Are you okay? And he said, yeah, I'm good with that. So we went home, and it was the following year in February. And I came to him and I said, guess what? And he said, what? And I said, I'm going back to Africa. And he goes, you are? He goes, well, who are you going with? And I said, I think it's just me and Jesus. He said, well, I'm not good with that. He said, because I don't want my wife traveling all over Africa with just her and Jesus. He goes, you need to find somebody to travel with you. So I said, I know God will provide somebody. So that year he did. He provided one of my pastors at my church, a single woman who had always had a dream of going to Africa. So I just asked her, would you like to travel with me? And she said, well, sure. So we left that following August, and I had actually sponsored another child, because I'm thinking, it's just all about sponsorship. So I sponsored another child in Congo. And so we flew to Malawi and Mozambique, and we ended up going to Congo, and had some amazing, just miraculous things happen there. I just knew God was in every piece of this, everywhere we went. It was just beautiful. And so we come back home, and the following year, the church that I was attending came to me and said, hey, there's a group of kids from Children of Uganda that are performing. They're coming, I guess they're raising money for their orphanage, and would you like to be a part of that? And I said, let me just take the whole project. I'll do it, and we'll throw them a party, and we'll just shower them with love when they come, and we'll give them a nice offering so they can keep doing what they're doing. And so I had no idea what was actually going to be happening, but I had another party planned on my behalf. I was just minding my own business, and out of nowhere, we just had this miraculous, supernatural thing that had happened. The artistic director who was leading these groups of children, which was about 24 kids, they did a cultural dance at our church, and we had probably about 5,000 people that came to this program that evening. And so that day I had planned this party for the kids, and we had a Valentine's Day party, and I had got done feeding all the kids. And I'll just back up one little piece here. When I first got married.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yes.
Because actually we need to take a short break here. Okay. So I'm going to take a short break now, and we'll be right back with Tami Hoffman, her story, and the Hoffman Family Foundation. We'll be right back after these important messages on Kathryn Raaker's World.
Do you know if your children are up to date with their immunizations? Hey, fellow Detroit parents, I'm Herman Moore, a former professional football player. I'm lucky to have two amazing sons, but I also know that being a parent requires a lot of work. And one of the most important things is helping to keep your children healthy. To help make sure they stay on top of their game, it was important to stay on top of their vaccinations. The CDC recommends a vaccination schedule that helps protect against 14 serious diseases before age 2. There's a lot to consider when it comes to your child's health, but I know getting our children vaccinated with all doses at the scheduled times is one of the most important steps we can take to help protect them from serious illnesses. Visit VaxDetroitBabies.com to find local events where you can get your children up to date with their immunizations.
This message was brought to you by the Henry Ford Health System and Wayne State University in partnership with Pfizer.
No more, it's none of my business.
No more, he didn't mean it.
No more, not my problem.
No more, she was flirting with him.
No more, she was asking for it.
No more, boys will be boys.
No more, I'll say something next time.
No more bystanding.
No more ignorance.
No more excuses.
No more.
It's difficult to find a person in America right now whose life has not been impacted by the opioid epidemic. In fact, a recent report found that enough opioids were prescribed in 2016 for every man, woman, and child in the nation to have 36 pills each.
Addiction is taking a toll on millions of lives across America, but together we can reduce the devastation and work to end addiction. And it all starts with prevention. Now more than ever, it is important that we educate and empower patients to talk to their doctors about their post-surgical pain management options. If we could reduce the number of opioids prescribed after surgery by just 10%, it would mean almost 332 million fewer leftover pills available each year for potential diversion and misuse.
These prescription painkillers are not our only option for treating pain, especially after surgery. To learn more, visit planagainstpain.com.
Ballerina.
Sometimes all it takes to be a dad is remembering how to be a kid again. Take time to be a dad today.
Morning, Gary. We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you?
You know you do.
Yeah.
But I don't know where to start.
That's why we're here. We're free, handsome,
I think we're breathtaking.
and here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, financial aid forms. Biology homework, Chief. I got this. Is that Bran? Colleges love extracurricular activities.
Chess really isn't my thing.
I got this. Doesn't matter. Go ahead. Picking a college, man. You and us go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos.
Fire and ice.
Those don't really go together.
Go to GetSchooled.com for more info.
We are back on Kathryn Raaker's World with Tami Hoffman. We're talking about her life in Uganda, her life here, and she and her family's Hoffman Family Foundation. So, right before the break, Tami, you said you met these children from Uganda, you put a party on together through your church, and then what happened, Tami?
Okay, this is where the story got really great, out of nowhere. So when I first got married, the Lord had spoken to me and said, you'll have 2 boys and 2 girls. You're going to have 4 children. And I just want to reiterate that because, when God gives you a promise and you still don't see the promise and you're getting older and, I'm past childbirth stage, He'll always make sure that comes to pass because when he speaks something, it does come to pass. So I go and I have this party for these children and I get them their food and we sit down and I go and I sit down beside the artistic director who was 28 years old and was leading this group of children and introduced myself. And so he asked me, and I had told the kids that I had, sponsored children in Africa. And so he said, so tell me about your kids. And I said, I have 7. I said, no, actually I have 8 because last year I got stranded in Congo and I had this boy at the airport adopt me as his mom. And right then, out of nowhere, the kids are in this room and, there's activities going on. And it was just like all of a sudden, nobody was there except for me and him. And he reaches over to me and puts his hand on my hand and he said, would you be my mom? And I was like, well, of course, because I'm everybody's mom, right? I said, of course. And at that point, we knew that God brought us together and that he was going to do something miraculous. And that's when the Lord spoke to me and he said, this is your 4th child and this is your 2nd son. And from that point on, we have spoken every day. And that happened February 9th, 2014.
Now, how old is he now? How old is he now?
He's 34 years old now.
Wow.
And at that point, after he left, we communicated that they ended up going to all the way to Texas, San Francisco, and they flew back home about a month later, and I had flown out there to greet him and, you know, get him on the plane. But I knew then I'm going to Uganda, and it was like the Lord brought me the kids this time instead of me going to the children. So it was just, it just happened out of nowhere. And so that year I ended up going to Uganda, and I got to see where he had lived for all of those years. And out of all of the kids that I've sponsored, he was my true orphan. His mother had died when he was 6 years old. She died of AIDS, and AIDS just came over that country and just killed thousands of parents of these kids. It's one of the highest per capita of orphans in Africa. And it was just to hear his story, I was like, wow, you survived all of that. He had went to college. I mean, the Lord had just been in his life, like almost every step of every turn of his life. But it was like, now I needed him and he needed me, and how God brought us together. So I came to Africa, I came to Uganda, and we spent 3 weeks together. He took me where he grew up, and I had a friend that had started, she had actually bought some land in Uganda, in Jinja, and I said, let's just go and see what's going on over there. I think maybe we could start a school. So we ended up going there, and I saw all of these little children when I arrived, and they were just, I mean, they didn't have a school. They were in this little tiny warehouse building, and just bamboo shacks outside. And I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I was like, oh, they need a school. So that year, my son ends up traveling back home. He came to visit his family. He came home for Christmas, and he actually brought me plans of a school. He had the school designed and brought it to me. And I said, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. So that February, we broke ground, and I went back again in March, and everything was starting to come together. And that's actually in December, we started the Hoffman Family Foundation, and we also started one in Uganda, so the two parallel with each other. And the reason why this works is because I have him. And what we do, you know, in Uganda, I never wanted to be an organization that came in and said, you know, this is how we're going to run things. I wanted to come in and empower the people of Uganda to run the things that they need to do in their country. And the people that the Lord's brought on my path that work for us, for our foundation, we have 6 people, 6 bright Ugandan young adults that have all been educated, but they're giving back to their own country, which is just beautiful to see how they are empowering the little children, because they've been in their situation. They know where they're at. They know their hearts. They know what they, you know, the troubles that they come up against. And it's just beautiful to see how the children, you know, interact with them. And so we started our school, and it opened September of 2015. And it has just grown from there. We had 1 acre of land, and now our school sits on about 8 acres of land. And we just keep building, and we have a soccer academy now, and we have we have a couple dormitories, and there's just so much even on the horizon that we're going to be doing. And it's just exciting to have found my passion and my love, and just to know that I'll do this till I take my last breath on this earth, because it's such an exciting adventure.
Well, you know, one of the things that I want to say is that God has really blessed you, Tami, but you give back yourself, and the share in the epistles and the readings that you share with people. I'm one of the people that you share it with, and it's really made a big difference in my life. And the last time we talked on the phone, you said, I want you to come to Uganda, and I've been absolutely thinking about it. It's like, oh my gosh, you're turning me into this, you know. I'm so blessed. I have you now. I have Dr. Kevin. I have my brother, who I can't wait for you to meet him.
Oh, yeah.
He's so much like you. He got cancer when he was in his 30s, late 30s. He's devoted his life to the wonderful Leukemia Foundation, and also to God.
Oh.
And I'm privileged to know two angels on earth. And it's like, it's really unreal. I never thought I would go to some of the places that I went. And I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to go anywhere. That's the scary
That's
part,
awesome.
right? And so I haven't shut up. I haven't stopped talking about Uganda, and I haven't stopped talking about you and what your dream is, and to see these children. And I love kids. I can't even tell you how much I love children from all over the world. And I've been fortunate that I've been able to go to Indonesia. I've been to Malaysia. I used to live in Singapore, Turkey, Spain, you name it. And my heart goes out, especially to kids in Africa. Okay. And so it brought tears to my eyes to talk to you the first time. And so I haven't stopped thinking about it. And we're going to do another piece here in a minute. I want people to know when we end this segment, which we're doing it in 2 parts, so you'll have 2 parts or 3 parts, kind of like a documentary kind of thing for a show, which we do a lot of, which we like to do a lot of. And so I'd like to end this one right now and say, where to people, you need contributions, you need, right? You need right. So how can people actually reach out to you and give to your organization, your foundation, and help?
Well, thank you so much for Kathryn for bringing that up. Yes, we have a website, and it's www.hoffmanfamilyfoundation.co. We're actually in Colorado, so we left it as CO. And yeah, you can give through our website, and absolutely. And anybody who's interested in coming to Uganda, one of our visions is to build a volunteer house. So it costs a little bit of money to get over there with the airline flights, but I really, the vision is I would love to be able to have an actual volunteer house that sits on our grounds, and that people can just come and stay and serve these children. And any kind of donation that you'd love to give, we have so many projects that we are on, it's on the forefront. And I can tell you this, that 100% of your donation goes directly to the project. I taking care of all of our, the expenses of our school. I do that, I still work. So I actually give 100% of my paycheck goes directly to our foundation. And so all of that is taken. I don't take a salary, I don't do any of that. So 100% of your donation will go to the project. And I would say, consider, if you're going to sow seeds into what we're doing, consider coming and seeing exactly what, your investment is doing, because it's changing hearts and lives. And our mission statement is to leave a legacy of love, transforming lives and communities. And that's exactly what we're doing in this small little village of Jinja, Uganda.
Well, the nice thing about this whole television program is you'll be able to see, our audience will be able to see the wonderful work you're doing and what the school looks like. So we're going to end the show, this segment now. And so I want to thank you for joining me today on Kathryn Raaker's World. And part 2 will just be coming up. We'll see you soon on Kathryn Raaker's World. Don't forget to go to our website at kathrynraakersworld.com. See you soon.
Mm-hmm.